Hi, I'm Kim, and I've got two quick tips today about using Fujifilm camera. The first one is to set up a back button autofocus on the camera, and the second one is using your exposure compensation dial to change the ISO in your camera. Let's get started. So to set up back button autofocus, the first thing you need to do is take the AF controller on your camera and change it to M, which might seem a bit counterintuitive, but what that does is that stops this button becoming the autofocus button, and we can then use the menu to assign one of the back buttons for it. I have mine set to AFL up here. So to do that, we just go into the menu and scroll to AFMF, and then Instant AF Settings, and then choose either AFC or AFS. Now AFC will allow you to have continual autofocus while you press the button. AFS is obviously picking a single autofocus point and sticking to it until you release and repress to focus again. The other setting you need to go into is go down into the spanner at the bottom and then select Button Dial Settings and go to AEAF-LOCK mode and then On when pressing. And this will just allow it to activate when you're pressing it. And the other setting will allow you to have it as an on-off switch, which I don't think is ideal for this setting. So then all you got to do is select your autofocus point, press the back button to focus on it and shoot, and you're good to go. So the second tip I have for you today is about setting the ISO onto the exposure compensation dial. And this is done through selecting Auto ISO, and then in the menu we can have it set to adjust on this. So there's a couple of settings which will make it work very well for you, and I'm going to talk you through them now. First thing you need to do obviously is have Auto ISO set up to on and the way you like it. You can do that by going into the shooting settings and then into the Auto ISO settings and just adjust the auto as you want. You might want it from say 200 to 12,800. Don't worry about the minimum speed, as we're going to be choosing the speed on our shutter speed dial as we would normally do. We're just going to use automatic ISO and then use the exposure compensation dial to switch that over. To get that working, we need to then go back into the menu, go into spanner, screen setup, and preview exposure and white balance in manual mode, and preview exposure white balance. And all that does is that gives us a real-time view of what the final image is going to be. So we can see if it's too dark or too bright in the viewfinder. And then by simply adjusting the style, you're going to turn your ISO up or down to make it brighter or darker. And it really is that simple and that straightforward. One final thing I'd recommend is that you set your metering mode up to something like matrix or average metering. If you use spot metering, for example, you're going to get exposure on, say, a face, and then if you move the camera off to something that isn't the face, your exposure is going to change hugely. So if you set it as average, you're going to get the average for the scene, and that really allows you to dial in the settings as you want. Now, because you're using Auto ISO, the camera gives you that perfect average that it sees, and then you can either make that brighter or darker. So if you are shooting a backlit subject, you might want to bring it up a stop or two, and then you can expose the subject correctly, and you don't need to use spot autofocus for that. And that's a fantastic tool to have. And I know some people find it a little bit difficult to change the settings, particularly on the X Pro 2, but there we go. It's a great workaround and works very well. So give both of those a go and let me know how you get on in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe as we bring more content about Fuji and Capture One to you. Thanks for watching. Bye.